Yeah, maybe we could do announcements toward the end. I think we're gonna have some stragglers coming in just as they install software.
Cool.
Get lost.
Well, in that case, do you want me to go ahead and I'll start, and I will promise not to bore you.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so let's go ahead. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. 1 second. I'll put myself back on video periodically in between. All right, we've got my screen. Everyone see that okay? It's big often in the background.
Yeah.
For good reason. All right, so I'm just going to go through and talk a little bit about where you are and what it's for. So, Sciencebase, what the heck is this, and how and why was it made? Now, the how part is the bit that I'm going to be teasing you with, because what we've got here is actually a little bit more interesting than what you see on the hood. You probably logged in and assumed that you're sort of logging into a Unity game that just has some of these screen share features, and that could not be further from the truth. So Sciencebase is a multi-user virtual world. Now, you're probably not familiar with the term virtual world. It's a little bit niche, but basically the idea is that everything you see here is built with off-the-shelf tools. That is to say, you could go off and use whatever 3D editing app you like, whatever texture editor you like, and go in and mess around with absolutely everything. We'll get to that in just a minute. This region is named Canvas for a reason. So everything here is edited. Almost all of that can be done in real time. For the rest, you can do it in the Unity editor, and what you see is what you get uploaded, which we will actually demo a little bit further on. So what you need is Unity and the Sciencebase editor pack if you're going to be building content from scratch. That's in the Unity asset store. It's free download, free to use, free to mess with. You don't need to pay us any subscriptions or anything, just to play around with it. And I'll get into a little bit of what it can do. So why? And what and why? The first answer is that the virtual world is highly collaborative. The idea is that anyone who wants to pick up the tools can start messing with the world itself. You can build content from a wide variety of creators. The idea is that the team size on a virtual world is every single user. And that means that we've got sort of teams of tens of thousands of people building and designing in one place. It's an amazing smorgasbord of creativity. So the other useful facilities with that, though, is that it's fast to prototype and build. So if you want to build something quickly, you can do it entirely through the in-client editing tools, which we'll show off in a bit. And everything is streamed and down to the client on demand. So what you're getting is things will download as and when they're needed. So if someone places something in the environment, it'll download to all the clients then and there, and then load in without us having to do any sort of big patches and things up front. It's all designed to smoothly stream in, and we've got a variety of levels here. These regions you're seeing right now are all set to load it at once when you sort of hop in, plus anything else that's been added afterwards, streams in afterwards. But we can actually do it down to the level of even texture streaming, so you can have geometry load first, and textures and shaders and things load afterwards. So the key point to make is that these are really highly collaborative creative spaces. And we also let users buy and sell content on a marketplace as well. So if you're making cool content, you can be rewarded for that by selling your content. We have people making fantastic clothing, we make fantastic vehicles and gestures and animations, and all sorts of bits and pieces. The idea is that every single part of the world is created by the user base. Everything that we've uploaded on the platform, we've dog fooded our own tools, we've built them using our own editor pack, just the same as any other user would. So the first rule of virtual worlds is that anything plus anything equals fun. And that's not just for the platform developer. The idea is that if you want to build, say, a racetrack, you can combine vehicles with the editing systems, and you can create your own racetracks on demand. You can have a user come in and put a brick wall in front of your car midway through a race. That is the appeal of the virtual worlds. Now you can lock the region so that can't happen, but frankly, it's more fun if it is. The downside to this one is that anything that can be abused will be abused. And sometimes that's okay. As I said, my brick wall example is a humorous example of that. But we also have to design and build these systems so that one user can't ruin the experience for everyone. So we have a whole bunch of ways of how we do that. I'll actually go into some of that while we're talking through it here. So at this point, we do have the region named Canvas. I would like to invite my colleagues to start demonstrating. Isaac said the already stuff. although not very much yet, but I'm hoping by the end of this session, this place will be an absolute right mess. So that is your invitation. Please, whoever has admin rights in the region, feel free to mess it up. So we'll talk through and show those tools from my side as well in a minute. I think I've been given admin rights. So one of the things I wanted to show off before we get to there was actually showing off a demo of some of the content that you can create. We can create not just simple polygonal content like this, but we can actually do full-end, high-end Unity experience. So Joshua, I'm just going to quickly hand over to you potentially, just for 1 second, because I've got a couple of regions I just wanted him to show off. Are you ready to demo? Otherwise, I can inject this a little bit later into the presentation.
Yeah, actually, I'm ready. If you turn on the button at the far right of your screen on top, it'll say presenter to everyone, then it'll let me share.
Ah, interesting. I didn't know that was the case. That's cool. We must have just added that. Okay, so I will turn off my video then. And I think I've set it to everyone, so you should have, yep, there we go. Okay, so I've got Joshua here. He's logged into another region. We're just sharing the screen from that region in here. So this is on the more high end. As you can see, this is pulling off all the various wonderful bits of posts and things that Unity is capable of, but within the same client, you're accessing all of this in. This is probably static content. So it's not terribly interesting beyond showing that it sort of can be done. We can pull in all the high end bits. The second thing I wanted to have Joshua show off was a little upcoming massively multiplayer first person shooter that he and a couple of other people have been working on. So Joshua, are you able to teleport over to one of the BKR regions?
Yeah, what I would probably like to do is jump over to the actual BKR grid.
Sure.
So I'll just happen to restart my viewer real quick.
Yep, that's all good. Okay, so I will carry through a little bit, and then we'll give me a shout when you're ready to show that off, and we can show that off. One of the cool things that he's about to show off is the in-client scripting system. So we actually have a slide on some of the complexities involved in that. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen again. We'll go back to the presentation. So I want to talk a little bit about how this built. This is obviously all built on Unity. We started building it back on Unity 2.6, which was a very, very long time ago. The platform has actually been completely rebuilt since then on 4 occasions. But the current version that we're working on sort of dates back to about 2013, 2014. So we have been working on this for quite some time to get this up and running. It's been designed with long-term compatibility in mind, and I'll come back to that later because it's a really key port. But also every core feature has been designed with abuse in mind. That means that we are thinking about ways that users can corrupt and destroy the environment in a way that's not great for end users. The other thing we've got is deep integration with Unity Editor. And again, I'll do a demo of that in a bit. At some point, a little bit further on the line, I'll actually ask you guys what you'd like me to build. And I've got 3 things that I can build very quickly that will show off some of the editor workflow as well. But I want to talk a little bit about the platform. So the platform itself is a content scaling nightmare. We deliver content through a mix of formats. We use some of Unity's formats where it's appropriate, like for instance with shaders, the only way to deliver them is through an asset bundle. We deliver content to a mix of devices. That means we're delivering to, say, Mac OS, where we're running Metal. We're delivering to iOS, which is also Metal, Android, various consoles, Windows, so on and so forth. Each of those has a different performance profile. So some of those devices, such as mobile devices, we're seriously constrained on the amount of RAM that's available. We've been doing this in beta since early 2017. We now have terabytes of content uploaded by creators, and we haven't even left beta yet. This isn't even one of our hard problems. This is just a throw hard disks and a CDN at storage problem. It's not that difficult to solve. But this one is. Content has to work on all devices. So if you're on mobile, we've also got a WebGL client, and that icon has been very deliberately picked because WebGL is currently garbage, but we will ignore that for the moment. We also have to work on things like underpowered laptops. Lots of high-profile manufacturers, who I will not name, are still shipping high-end laptops with Intel Iris chipsets. If any of you have benchmarked one of these chips, I have an NVIDIA 8800 released in 2007, and it benchmarks comparably to some of Intel's latest chips. They are absolutely awful, but nonetheless, one of our goals with this platform is to make sure that whatever device you're accessing on, we can still give you a decent experience. So our settings does a wide variety of content optimizations, and it'll pull down different versions of content depending on what hardware you've got available under the hood. So we do a lot of platform optimizations here on.
I don't know if you're watching the screen, but I'm ready to share BKR if you want.
And Adam, if you're able to
let's do a quick detour into Big Chaos.
Adam, if you're able to pipe in your own webcam video, I think that would be great. It's not distracting.
Yes, I can pipe my web.
Just say we can.
In, but
piping it all the way from Australia.
Yeah. Yeah. It is quite past my bedtime. So this first-person shooter that Joshua is demonstrating on the right screen there, this is entirely scripted with the in-client scripting language. There is no pre-built components for a first-person shooter and things out of the box, although the source for this one is available to download separately. So it sort of demonstrates some of the flexibility of the platform in that we can build a full first-person shooter with NPCs, with a variety of weapons. It's actually got a comparable gameplay mechanics to a bit like Borderlands, actually. So we've got, I think they're doing some stuff with class mods and tweakable weapons and things like that in there. So this particular environment, as you can see, all the various first-person shooter bits that you would expect to see, fully networked, fully provided and streamed down on demand. Joshua, I'm going to get you to hit that edit room button. I can see it on there. So he's going to be making changes to the region in real time. This is the same way people have been messing around with the region that we're in at the moment. So I'm going to have to give you guys some pointers because this is not messed up enough yet. But as you can see here, he's got the room editor open. And he can make changes to this map in real time. You can place down new spawn points, you can change the weapons, you can customize the attributes on the weapons and things like that in full real time in an interface that is very familiar if you've been using Unity. So we've got an inspector and a hierarchy and all those bits and pieces that you might want to use available and good to go right there. So with that small demo out of the way.
I just decided to add a spaceship to the region because why not?
Of course. Oh, and everyone, if you want to, if you click screen camera, you can get a full-on view of the screen.
Why not? Oh. Okay, so we're talking about platform optimizations. So some of the things we do to make sure that content works across devices includes things like decimating meshes. So if you have a 50,000 or 55 million polygon asset, that is going to melt a mobile GPU if it even loads. So we do things like that to crunch down on those platforms. We can simplify shaders. A lot of the time, this is just simply a matter of following the LOD fallbacks and making sure they're applied correctly, but nonetheless, this can improve the performance again on mobile and WebGL quite considerably. More mobile than WebGL, because WebGL still's got a decent bit of kit under the hood. We reduce and crunch textures automatically, so we're always downloading the optimized versions. We also do that for network transmission. One of the things you may have noticed is that DXT's compression, the profile of it is comparable to a bitmap file, which is not great. Some of the things we do is we switch to other formats. We're actually moving to a format called FLIF at the moment, but regardless, that's all abstracted away from you and something you don't need to worry about. You just need to know that when you upload something, it will get modified when it gets exported onto various low-end platforms. We do things like rendering culling and things automatically. There's some fancy bits under the hood that make sure that those distances and things are set for whatever the device can handle. Disabling and simplifying post effects, again, depending on the hardware in question. So the Unity post stack is a bit heavy for a lot of mobile devices. So we've got some alternative ones we can flip to as well. The last thing we do is we tune Unity like crazy. We've got all the performance settings have been adjusted on a per platform basis, including many of the ones that Unity doesn't expose in their quality settings. I would say the quality settings class in Unity exposes maybe 30% of the available performance optimization settings that are available. So we do lots and lots of adjustments based on the level of settings. You'll find that in the settings themselves, going between the lowest level and the highest level, we'll have a very large performance goal. At the very highest level, we do things like screen space, ray traced, balanced lighting, because obviously base lighting in a runtime environment isn't really practical. that will happily melt a GPU that is incapable of handling it. But you can just switch that on off and get that performance back. So our defaults and things have been adjusted accordingly. So the other thing that we have to really take advantage of or be careful of is that users abuse things. And to be honest, I've had more problems with novices than I have with deliberate attackers. And that is because a novice who is new to Unity, who is new to game development, who is new to all those things, does not see a problem when they're uploading a static mesh or an animated mesh for that matter. In fact, that can be worse, with millions of vertices and 10,000 bones or whatever else. That kind of thing pops up more than you would imagine. So we do also some things like content review. We also have various system settings that will do it. It's the same API as Unity, just load and go. That's pretty straightforward. However, that has some serious drawbacks. Among the biggest is security. The .NET runtime was not built for sandboxing. In fact, the sandboxing page on the Mono website, which is the runtime that Unity still uses, explicitly says, do not trust this, do not rely on this, do not use this, which is probably a good bit of advice to follow because there's a lot of exploits and things that can break that functionality in bad ways. So we've looked at a way of getting a secure runtime that will label untrusted code to run inside the viewer, and we're using Lua as our language. If you've been around in the game industry a lot, you will have seen Lua pops up almost always as a game scripting language, and we are no exception. We built it originally off Moonsharp, which is a fantastic Lua runtime. However, we ran into a lot of problems with it when things like BKR, which is that first-person shooter, first popped up. Is that we found that the scripting runtime was causing heavy garbage collection. And that's partly the fault of some of the initial API design choices we made, but it's also because Mono garbage collection and then having a whole user scripting language running over the top is a little bit too much to bear. So we actually re-engineered Moonsharp to cut away the memory allocations that it was doing, so that it could actually not freeze up the viewer every 10 seconds. I've got a little footnote here that I'm a bit annoyed that Unity 2019.1 came out after we made all these changes because the incremental garbage collector does make some big differences and improvements there. We still would have had to have done this anyway just because of the sheer amount of garbage we were generating, but it's still something that has improved dramatically in Unity without us having to do much. The sandbox here is a double sandbox because it's running both on the Mono JIT and also a high-speed interpreted bytecode that we are using. So the Lua scripts actually gets compiled into a bytecode, which is then interpreted quickly. That one, the frame rates and things have been acceptable enough to enable AI and things to be written, so we're happy with the performance. At the same time, performance is also checked on user scripting. We do instruction counting. If a script executes too many instructions in a single frame, we do terminate it. And that just ensures that things which could block a frame, for instance, if you're doing some effects or things like that that have to be run and cannot be run across multiple frames, we don't want to have the frame rate drop just because a particular script was badly behaving. So in those cases, we do automatically terminate scripts. We do support auto yielding, so if you don't mess with the things, then you shouldn't have to worry about that one. We also did some checking on memory limits as well, just to make sure that you can't have a 10 gigabyte script unpack into your RAM. So one of the things I wanted to demo here today was actually a little bit on the editor side. The editor side is right over here. So I was prepared to do a demo. Now I'm not sure, how do I pop up this this little poll to pick which one I'm doing, or I'm just going to have to pick randomly?
Oh, the green question mark?
Is it the green question mark?
Oh,
Yeah.
so if you want people to submit questions, they can click on the green question mark, and they can enter questions, whatever they have. The blue one, oh no, actually the green one is choice of vehicle, clothing, or region. The actual one for freeform
Right.
questions
So-
has been kind of hidden among the building that we're doing right now.
Okay, so I'm going to get everyone to just click what they'd like me to build. It will be very simple, whatever it is, but I will do just a quick edit a demo, and I'll give you 30 seconds to click the green question mark, then pick one of the options. And Joshua, you can get the answer out of the other side.
Yeah, it looks like we got one region, one vehicle at the moment, 2 vehicles, 2 regions.
Okay.
It's nobody wants to see clothing so far.
That's fine because clothing takes the longest. So
All right,
I'm quite happy to.
We
jump
need
past that
we need
one.
some more we need some more opinions in here.
Do we have a winner?
The green question mark and make your opinion known. Yep, we got another one for region. Region's pulling ahead.
Okay, region it is. I'm going to do a very basic region now. I'm not going to slap too much art in the wave here because I don't have much art loaded into my project. But I am going to show the basics of the process to get a region up. So you can either create a new scene the normal Unity way, or we can use this new science-based scene option we inject. And all that does is just inject a ground floor and some basic components that you need in order to get upload a region. So as I mentioned before, we use what you see is what you get from Unity for uploading content straight in. Once it's uploaded, it goes straight into your in-world inventory, which is just here. Mine is going to take a moment to load because I have a bazillion items. As you can see, it's got 100 and something just assembled in this one. So all this stuff that you see can be brought in from Unity, and what you see is what you get there. So what it's done is it's created a ground plane, just so users don't fall perpetually. It's created something we call a landmark, which is effectively a way of dictating important areas in a scene, but we also use them for spawn points. So if you're going to click, tick on that on the spawn point, it'll get that little text up there saying flipping between spawn and landmark. And that will let you indicate where the user is going to arrive. You can also adjust a radius. So if you want to have them come in a variety of ones, if you had multiple spawn points, it will just pick one randomly when the user arrives. So we've got that. We've got some basic lighting settings. And then most importantly, we've got this virtual good component here, which is our scene save settings and related. So of course, I've loaded up the busted editor, haven't I? Should have tested this before I went live. So nonetheless, the basics are there's a panel here we can fill in with some names and details and things like that, but I'll skip past that for now. If you want to look at them, you can use our wiki for that one. But basically, long story short, is you've got a whole bunch of settings you can pick on. We can do some things like platform adjustments. Oops. Yeah, sorry, my computer is dying. So we can adjust some of the things like our texture sizing. We've got options for automatic texture sizing. So if you've got a memory budget, say you want to set the memory budget to, I don't know, 2000 meg or whatever, then it'll automatically adjust texture resolutions based on the frequency of the textures used, how many objects, the scale of the objects, that kind of stuff. So we can flip out some of these settings on a per platform basis. So on mobile, we often remove light maps, remove light probes, or reflection probes. It sort of gets the bare minimum. But when you're done, we can hit the automatic submit button, and that will sort of go through a little step, and it'll upload into the scene. So this one here, test scene. We'll probably complain because I haven't put the name, but we'll see. Let me just going to tweak it a little bit. Set what's there, what's there, give it a name. Okay, and I'll just make sure that's not in there. Right, and that. Right, save. Oh, I already haven't lined up with that name. We'll just quickly give it a. Probably should have thought chest would be the name. But let's just throw a couple random images in there. All right. Second. So that's now being sent off to our servers. As you can see here, we've got a little uploader. You can still continue to work in Unity, but that will now be available in my inventory in a little bit of time. It's just going to go up through some servers, they'll do a little processing on it, and then it'll be available. Now, this is a very basic scene, but this is effectively what you see is what you get. So no matter what 3D models you throw in here, whatever various settings and things you've got to the scene, that will upload there. If you can do it, you can do it on individual items, so you can create items that can be edited in real time. If I go into here, I can drop some stuff out in the same way that other people have. So just 1 second. My laptop is not happy with me opening it. 1 second. My performance on. Okay, so in here, these objects, for instance, have been uploaded as just individual items. They can be just dragged and dropped. I don't know how well that's coming through, but you guys should be able to see that. All the gizmos and things will look very familiar to Unity users because they've got the same settings, same design, and same shortcut keys. So there we go. I've dropped that one in. Let's save that right now. Okay, let me go back to the presentation. So that shows you some of the sides of things. So, okay. So one of the things that we've got is a long-term compatibility window, and we'll come into that a little bit. One of the things that we have to support is that we upgrade between Unity versions on a regular basis. When we first launched this into beta, we were running on Unity 5.2. We have upgraded to 5.4, 5.6, 2017.2, now 2018.4. We'll be jumping to 2019.4 when it hits, probably in a very short amount of time, but the next 1 to 2 months. We'll be jumping to there. One of the things you'll notice as a Unity user is that Unity doesn't clean up upgrade resources. Broadly speaking, it will upgrade projects with some degree of fidelity, but not perfect fidelity. And there's a few reasons for that. One is that it's not really always Unity's key focus to preserve backwards compatibility on projects, because projects tend to be built with one version of Unity and they don't tend to migrate without great effort. So they kind of, upgrades mostly work, but they also don't. So we have to make sure that content that is uploaded to the platform works in a long period of time. The other problems we have are sometimes Unity pulls something, like for instance, the old particle emitter class is gone. It no longer exists, which means that our upgrade process needs to do things like convert them to new particle system automatically. We have a huge list of migrations that we do on content to make sure that it works between Unity versions. But broadly speaking, we've got a way of making sure that content that was uploaded in an old version of Unity works in the new platforms. Some of the content we've got on the platform actually date back to the very first versions of the platform we built back in 2008, 2009. There's a region on here called Turkwa, which was one of the first. I think that one dates to March 2009, March 2010. Regardless, that piece of content is over a decade old. That is still running in the platform, and that's because we do these levels of migrations. Sometimes we have to do very significant amounts of work. Substance has been one of the really key ones, because the Substance plugin from Algorithmic spent the better part of a year and a half being completely unusable. It's just coming into stability now, but we had to do a bit of work, and we actually worked with Algorithmic to get their upgrade process working better than it was. So our compatibility horizon is really long. When we started to set up this project, we set a 25-year compatibility horizon, which is way beyond the life of every Unity project that you've probably ever heard of. And the reason for that is simple. The average life of virtual worlds to date is about that long. The first virtual worlds that came out, things like Active Worlds and Second Life and so on, are still going strong today. Some of them have tapered off, but Second Life, which launched in 2003, still has something like 600,000 monthly active users. These platforms stick around for a long period of time, so we need to make sure that what we're doing can also survive that level of time. So that is why we have spent quite a bit of time on compatibility. So some of the tricks we use for this is our upload and reprocess steps. So when content is uploaded into Sciencebase, we actually also keep a copy of all the original source files that you upload with it. We don't send those to the client PCs to log into the environments, but we do use them to rebuild content on demand. And that is also useful when new technologies come down the pipeline, where we get better compression algorithms, we get better shaders, and so on and so forth. We can actually just reprocess all the content with those new functionalities and get all the benefits from it. This also gives us better support for lots of platforms, because having the original sources means that when we do the conversion from one platform to another, we're not sort of degrading an already compressed version to then recompress it further, and keep a nice high resolution original ones. This also means that we've got support for things like HDRP, URP, and the general scriptable render pipeline fun. If anyone's worked with compatibility on HDRP and URP, you may as well have jumped outside of a building, because it is horrible. Unity's upgrade scripts are okay, but they handle about 1% of what a full upgrade ends up, maybe a bit more than that, maybe about, I'll be generous, about 30% of what a full project upgrade looks like. We are doing that work already. We've actually already got our first generation upgrader up and running at the moment. There'll actually be some announcements on that sometimes soon. We're also supporting things like upgrading surface shaders. We're not going to be upgrading every shader, but we do support surface shaders at least, so we can actually upgrade those into HDRP and URP, which is quite the bit of work. But it also means that we've got these scripted render pipelines available. So when we release support for those later in the year, we'll be able to release a high def client and a lightweight client, and you'll be able to get either the quality of HDRP or the performance of URP. So I want to get through a little bit of the core platform. I mean, I've talked about compatibility, I've talked about sort of scripting and so forth, but really the core is, particularly as a Unity user, things you might be interested in are things like avatars and characters, content streaming, real-time editing, the dynamic loading and unloading of content. When an avatar leaves the scene, we take all their content out of memory and clean it up. We do the same for things like furniture that people place and then delete. And we've also got the multiplayer networking. So it's all sort of in a bundle, and you can actually use this as a game developer. We fully encourage people to think about using these platforms as a way of building actually real projects and real games on the platform. So I want to talk a little bit about avatars. I will begin to speed up just because I know that I'm running a little bit long, but so we'll talk about avatars. And the easiest way to talk about avatars is to show them while my computer melts. I will take, yeah, that's fine, I can do it melted. I should open that project. So this is a simple science-based avatar. All pretty straightforward. Some of the cool things we've got here is that the clothing was automatically rigged. So you don't actually need to do manual weighting. You can if you want, but that's an optional option. When clothing is uploaded, it'll deform with the character. So all the various sliders, we've got about 180 or so different character sliders in here. That will sort of update with your clothing automatically. We have support for even custom sliders. So if you've created a character, you can actually completely modify the vertices on that character. And I'll just reset my avatar shape.
Can't see your screen.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm sharing. Is anyone else having that problem? I see myself in the echo.
I can see it.
It comes and goes.
Must just be me.
Okay. That might be I'll try and stay on things for longer then, just so you get a chance to see.
If you click screen camera too, it'll focus on it.
Yeah, I'm on screen camera, but it's coming in and out.
Oh.
There's an on-screen button or an in-world button on the top right of the screen. If you click that in-world button, it'll go back. It'll like pop it.
It's kind of pixelating, I see.
Yeah, no, it's probably a network bandwidth issue coming from Australia, so there might be some internet
I'm on
issues.
Wi-Fi, which is probably not the best idea. Okay, so anyway, everything from the shapes and things can be deeply customized. As a designer, you can poke around with vertices, and the clothing will still fit even if you've done severe modifications to the underlying mesh. The skin textures on the characters can be combined with a Photoshop style layer system. So if you want to merge, say, I don't know if I actually got much in the way of skins on this one. Let's see if I got anything interesting. So swap that one out, but I can, hopefully I've got some, there we go, just be a decent test case. So this is a bit of facial hair. Oh, there we go. So that has been composited on using a Photoshop style blend mode. It just sort of adds and removes automatically. So I'm going to go back to here a little bit. So avatars are completely customizable. You can use them as part of games. You can create NPCs using them. They are extremely flexible. I do not know of another avatar system that is more powerful than ours, and that is not me idly bragging. We really have spent a very long time on making sure that our character system can do whatever you like. They don't even need to have to use our base meshes. They're provided, but the underlying technology lets you do a lot. Things like clothing, for example, can be tucked and bleed into each other, which deletes unseen surfaces and makes sure that they don't poke out afterwards during animations and so on and so forth. So the other core features, we've got scene editing. Obviously, we saw a little bit earlier of being able to sort of modify and program the scene in real time. This, again, is great for rapid prototyping, but you've also got a lot of various bits and pieces that you can expose to users, so users can do their own map editing and things using the scene if you want to. That's all networks too, so any changes that you make will obviously apply to everyone in real time. We also have support for sky, scene, and lighting presets and things that can be done that way as well. So that can work with games, as I said, spawn points, weapons, NPCs, whatever you like. I think we've already shown that off a bit, so I'll not speak through that. So finally, I will get to my point of actually trying to pitch you, which I apologize to, but I will be very quick. So if you're an asset store creator, some of the things we can do is you can upload your content into the asset store. In fact, we have a very smooth pipeline for asset store creators who want to bring their content into Signspace. It's a standard 70-30 split your way. You can upload everything from furniture to clothing to assets to regions to vehicles to sound effects to whatever you like. Scripted content can all be sold through the store. If the item exists in the platform, it is available in the marketplace as well, which means that everything you can see can be monetized. And in other competing virtual worlds in the past, it has been possible for creators to actually make a full-time income entirely servicing this audience. Some of the revenue figures for many of the earlier generation virtual worlds are absolutely astounding. They are by and far better than most games, especially as an indie creator. You'd be surprised how much you can pull out selling in virtual worlds. So that's something that's an option. The game developers can give you fast track multiplayer. You don't have to build all your net code. We've got built-in character systems. Again, that can be a huge amount of effort. Vehicles, moats, map editor, etc. are all built in. You can just take advantage of them. If you don't want them, just disable them. It's all there. Monetization, we've got that facility in there if you want to use it. We can sort of handle that all for you. Otherwise, you can do it yourselves. And obviously streaming. If you're doing, for instance, free-to-play games in particular, being able to get users in faster matters. And this means that you can sort of create lightweight areas to begin with and have the rest of the heavyweight stuff download over time as the user explores. People doing serious applications, we have support for things like CAD file import. We have VR support, we have screen sharing, voice chat, video chat, which we're all using right now. We've actually been doing events on the platform recently, and it's been an interesting experience, but some of these tools have been quite useful for presentations and demos. So with that in mind, I'm going to go to Q&A. Feel free to ask away. My name is Adam Frisby. I'm the Chief Product Officer here. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Frisby. Otherwise, my email address is up there on the screen, and I will leave it there for a minute and try to silently tab in and out of the world while we get some questions.
And so to ask questions, you just need to click the gold question mark and then put it in there and enter.
Yeah, I think the gold question mark has been moved off to the side where the trees are. So since Adam's been talking,
it's over here.
We've been building, so it might be a good time for everybody to have a look around and kind of see what we've just been putting together while Adam has been talking about the platform.
Oh wow, you guys did quite a bit actually.
And the can we move the question mark toward the stage, or people can follow?
I'm happy if anyone wants just to pipe up a question too.
Or just
speaking all at once.
Yeah, just click the audio button on the top and just ask away.
James does love his cars.
Oh, I love it.
The vehicles are actually the best part, I think. They're the most fun. There's actually a whole complex vehicle system that you can use to pull on, which gives you sort of preset vehicles with all sorts of forces and physics and things that you can apply to them quickly and easily.
And here's the gold question mark.
Do we have any questions yet?
By the dancing pool. Well, Adam, maybe you could talk a bit about how ScienceBase works with the asset store.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is an asset store. We are Unity asset store partners, and there's a deeper stage of that which we're yet to do a formal announcement on. But as an asset store developer, we do have a system in place that can actually bring your content in. Depending on the type of content, not every bit of content can be brought in quickly and easily. But if you are an asset store developer and you're interested in working on the platform, we have a fairly painless process for bringing in existing content packs. We can just sort of get you set up with that with no hassle at all on your end. Probably actually not much to say. It's pretty basic and straightforward. But if you've got asset store content, it's a quick way of getting some extra money. Everything that in here can be added to existing your existing revenues. You just need to open it up as one extra marketplace. Content goes in, doesn't come out, so users don't get access to the source files you sell in the asset store. Everything's sort of just licensed as in-game assets. So it's all fairly straightforward, and it's pretty easy yes, I think, for a lot of developers. Is someone going to make that thing physical?
I don't know. We were told he had a secret plan, and we're just all kind of waiting for the unveiling.
Like a calamari? Yeah. That actually would be pretty cool. Come on, someone add a rich body to that.
That might be his secret plan. We don't know.
Who is doing it anyway?
That's Rowan.
Oh, that's Rowan. Okay, well, I'm definitely messing with this. I actually haven't experimented with doing that yet. I don't know. It might all just explode on us.
What's a good way of describing what we're in now? Because we're in the Breakroom for Unity. So maybe talk about Breakroom versus ScienceBase, the platform as a whole.
Yeah, so they're basically, they're fundamentally the same thing. Breakroom is the sort of lightweight corporate environment that we've got that lets you create sort of a water cooler space. We're also using it for meetings and other similar things. If you're sort of interested in just getting a place for your studio or team to hang out in, then Breakroom is really what you're looking for there. If you're interested in joining the public craziness, which is our main grid, where everyone can mix and match content from thousands of developers, then ScienceBase is the normal preferred way in. But the viewer is the same, the functionality is the same. All the things that are available on Breakroom are available on the main grid, as long as you've got the right setup, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning just the reason we've had to focus on low poly content here in the Breakroom is just for performance.
Low end machines. I did mention to begin with that the Intel Iris chips were about the same power as a 13-year-old graphics card, and unfortunately that is why we have, and that is a new Intel chip. Some of the old ones are even worse. It is honestly not a joke to say they are 100 times worse than a discrete GPU, sadly to say. Actually, to be entirely fair, those Intel GPUs can even be slower than a mobile chipset. I have in fact seen that happen. Some of the new mobile chipsets are actually pretty fast.
Yeah, some of those flagship phones have gotten to where they can do quite a lot.
Yeah.
There's so much glow from the lava on the left side of the map here.
Yeah, I was wondering who had done that. What have they done?
Yeah, that's I think that's Digvijay's masterpiece over here.
Giant ship up here.
Yeah, just a reminder, if anybody has any questions, feel free to hit the audio button at the top of your screen if you want to talk, or if you want to submit a text question, just tap that rotating gold yellow question mark over there on the right side of the stadium area, and you can submit a question that's by text. We do actually have a question just came in for Adam. How does the 70-30 split work with the asset store already taking 30%?
So that's it's still the same percentage. We have our own arrangement with Unity on that respect. So you still get 70% of that one. I will add a caveat there, and that is that certain platforms, namely iOS and other ones where the platform itself takes 30%, we do the split after all other splits have been taken. and that is just a simple, unavoidable fact of life. We use the marketplace revenue to fund development of the platform and marketing and all the rest of it. So we do need to take something, but on most platforms like PC, then you'll find you'll get the 70%.
Okay, we have another question from Pravi. Can you revoke assets from end user accounts, or is every asset a perpetual license?
That is an excellent question. The answer is perpetual license, and the reason for that is that we do respect first sale doctrine. That is that when a user buys something, they have the right to keep it. That is what they get when they buy it. You can, however, pull it from the marketplace and stop new users from getting copies of it. Similar, I guess, to the asset store in that respect.
Okay, we have a question from Jacob Christ 2 here that simply says, how does this work with Unity? I think I missed that.
So if you are a Unity developer, you grab our editor pack off the asset store. Oh, I see what they're doing. If you get the asset pack off the asset pack of the asset store, you can build and upload inside the Unity editor. It's what you see is what you can upload. I did a little bit of demo earlier. But the basics is that you can upload prefabs, you can upload scenes, you can upload all sorts of bits and pieces from Unity straight into here, and then immediately share that with whoever you want to. And you can also update existing content the same way. So if you want to update an existing piece of content, just upload it again. It'll replace the existing content on the servers once you push it to the live grid.
I hope that answers the question. I don't know if he was talking about how does it work with the Unity editor or how does it work with the Unity store, but if that didn't answer your question, Jacob Christ 2, please feel free to submit another question with a clarification.
No, I think that clarified it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
we can.
Yeah, audio is just good.
Okay, so if anybody else has any
Does it
questions?
crash often? I'm Jacob Chris 2 because the program crashed once already. I'm going to have to re-log in.
Oh my God.
We've been trying to hammer down those ones. There's still one remaining bug in 2018.4.20 something. There's one crash bug. Unity have found it and confirmed that they have got it fixed. We're just waiting for that one to come through. But broadly speaking, we have been finding the 2018 releases to be pretty stable.
Yeah, we should mention that we actually are on what is considered a release candidate viewer for this. So as Adam said, we're waiting for some fixes from Unity themselves. So this is not the actual live production viewer at the moment. This is our most recent release candidate with our latest features and optimizations in it. So we apologize if there's a few bumps or two there.
And we can help you recover your account as well if you want us to reset your avatar name.
Yeah, that's no problem. The nature here is expanding to fight the forces of evil, I think.
It actually is. Yeah, I'm just sitting here watching that we're getting a scene being built in front of us. But again, that's sort of part of the perks and cool stuff about this platform is that the whole scene is malleable. It's something that you don't see too much elsewhere.
I'm kind of getting a Mordor versus Lothlorien vibe going here.
Yeah, who's building Mordor? Is that Digvijay on one side and Rowan on the other, or probably vice versa?
I don't know. I think Digvijay might be building against himself here, like playing his side of the board.
Yeah, I would join in, but I'm flying around.
Yeah. So we have another question coming in. Asset creation dependent on Unity version? ? In other words, should we use 2018 LTS or not from Whiskey and Gunpowder?
No, we are not dependent on Unity asset version. That's because we don't do for instance, asset bundle export from Unity directly. No, we have that intermediate step with the processing servers, and that gives us the ability to be a lot more flexible on Unity versions. Technically, we don't support 2019 or 2020 yet, but they do work. I have been using them in my own testing work. Broadly speaking, 2018 and 2017 long-term support releases are ones that we do well support. But broadly speaking, we're not that dependent on the actual specific Unity version.
Yeah, we usually recommend 2017 for or 2018 for, and we probably will start recommending 2019 once they also go to 0.4 and we get an LTS release of that. But we also you can also use 2017 2 or 2018 2 or any other version. We've got some people who are using like the 2018 threes and the 2017 threes still.
Yeah. Cool. Anyone else got any questions, or should we wrap up?
There's no more questions coming in by text.
All right, let's finish up there. But yeah, if anyone wants to ask any questions, we're around, so feel free to bug us, and we'll be very happy to answer.
Cool. Thank you very much again to Adam and the rest of the team.
No problem.
Sciencebase for hosting us and for this great presentation. And
appreciate it.
For giving us a cool product.
Thank you.
No problem.
And feel free to hang out and play.
Yeah.
Yep. And if you want to get started, as I said, it's all free, so you can play with it to your heart's content. We're desperately, well, not desperately, but we are always looking for new creators to come on board and create cool stuff, because I always love seeing our Discord channel, seeing all the cool new things that people have been working on. I actually saw an arcade version of Asteroids done entirely in game scripting language the other day, which was quite cool.
Yeah, did you discuss getting the Sciencebase SDK from the asset store? I don't remember if you covered that.
Only briefly, but if you search for Sciencebase in the asset store, it'll pop up and you can poke around with it.
Yeah, it is quite a large download. We apologize, but it because we support so many versions of Unity, when you download it, you're actually downloading support for all of those different versions, and it will only install what it needs for the particular version of the Unity editor that you're using. Because we support so many versions of Unity.
Yeah, feel free to hang out, and also there's the Discord. Just Google Sciencebase official Discord and go right there. Always happy to talk, and we'll be doing more of these meetups with various Unity chapters around the world. So everyone's welcome. Just Google Sciencebase official Discord.
Oh yes, in the middle of the seating area, you'll see a blue question mark, and if you tap that, you'll get a little browser surface pop up on your screen with a survey. Anybody who wants to fill that out, feel free.
You just talk about your experience, and yeah, just like any MMO or virtual world, you can connect with us in here, friend us, instant message, mail, in-world mail. So that's another way to stay in touch. We should have some music. Outro
thank you
music.
everyone for coming, and yeah,
great. Thanks again, David.
See you all another time.
Cool.
Great.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks all.
Yeah,
have a good night.
Bye.
I'm going to drive the car around.